morning, everyone. Nice to see you again.
Good morning.
Welcome. Let's start the day. And today is very beautiful. We were checking the material for today, and it's gonna be very practical and very useful because it is the course of action that human mind can take for good or for ill. So I think it's gonna be a very beautiful session. So let's start thanking the teachers as usual. Thanking for all, especially the Buddha, for having discovered all these causes and effects of nature and had the tremendous ability to apply to himself, get fully enlightened, and have the compassion to share what he found. And all the teachers that came after him that were kind enough to dedicate their lives, literally their lives, energy, generation to generation, so we are able, thanks to their compassion, to benefit from all this knowledge and tools. That's what we appreciate, that's what we respect. May the teaching continue for many generations to come, and for this matter, we are part of it. We are one cause. It depends on us now for future generations to be benefited as we have been benefited. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Now we will recite the qualities of the Buddha, which when we have time, we can explain and dwell on them. They are very, very beautiful. Itipiso bhagava araham sama sambuddho vichacharana sampano sukhato lokavidu anutaro purisa dhammasarati sattva vedamanussanam buddho bhagavati sadhu sadhu sadhu.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, so today we will continue with our exploration on the wholesome and unwholesome actions. So before we start with that, I would like to just have a little bit review from last week. Last week we saw about some causes and conditions for chittas with wisdom to arise. Remember? So let's say, for example, when we do good deeds, then we have the aspiration of may this action be conditions for wisdom to arise. Remember, that was one, and some other one. Remember? Yes.
When you teach?
Yes, sharing the teaching or supporting the Dhamma, something else.
Balancing the 5 qualities of,
yes, the 5
of concentration and
yeah. So remember,
reason,
aspiration, the sharing the teaching, being free from anger. Remember, the anger is is a hindrance or obstruction for wisdom to arise. Then, as Bante said, the maturity of the 5 faculties. Then also vipassana and samatha meditation. But through this meditation, being distant or away from the defilements. Yes, yes, and also being born with the 3 roots, which we saw already last week, those kinds of chitta. So those are the conditions and causes for more wisdom to arise. Yes, so last week we saw this, and also we saw the last 2 groups of the beautiful chittas, which are the result of wholesome actions with roots, and the functional chittas with roots in the beautiful category. Up till here, is there any question? Any doubt, any question?
Can you remember us the 5 faculties?
Maybe I should put the slide then. Confidence in oneself and in the teachings, and wisdom. Then the next ones,
they need
next
to be
pair
paired together.
These 2 must be balanced. The next one, samadhi, concentration or mental stability, and viriya, effort. Then these 2 should be balanced. And then sati, here is also important because Sati is the one that knows if they are being balanced or not. So these 5 must be for meditation practice or for any kind of spiritual development. These 5 must be in balance. If one of those are more or less than the other, then like the horses, no, like if one run faster than the other, then the cart is not in balance. So all of these 5 must be developed in a balanced way.
And eventually, as we saw at the beginning, like maybe we are right now all cultivating through awareness and wish we cultivate wisdom, but eventually when wisdom grows, wisdom takes the lead and is on top, and wisdom is guiding the faith, wisdom is guiding the concentration, the right effort, and Sati continues to be guiding as well together with wisdom. We know that these 2 horses, faith and wisdom, must be together, must be paired. One should not be bigger than the other one, and Sati knows about them, and the other 2 horses, concentration and effort, should go. About Sati and wisdom, our teacher says that it is never too much. We will never have too much wisdom, we will never have too much awareness and presence. So these are the only 2 elements, wisdom and Sati, which are unmeasurable if we wish. The other ones must be always balanced, otherwise the forces of them will start conflicting to one another.
Even concentration.
Concentration, it's very dangerous actually. Concentration with the wrong effort, for example, can be deadly. A lot of concentration with anger, wow, it's very powerful. Also, a strong concentration and little wisdom, it makes big problems for meditators, because if we grow in concentration and wisdom cannot handle that force, then the mind gets, people might experience anxiety sometimes, people might start seeing things that they cannot process. So wisdom must be beside, and this last Wednesday we spoke about it. It is very important for a meditator to make a clear balance between concentration and wisdom. Otherwise, the mind can start getting instability because it has too much force without knowing how to handle. The teacher says it's like a ship, it's like a big ship with all the veils, how you say? All the veils open and strong wind with no timon, with no steering wheel. So it is like the force is very strong, but no one is steering. So the one who guides is wisdom. The one that gives the power is effort, concentration, and sadhana. So these 2, Sati and wisdom especially, are the guiding force for the power of our inner strength.
Okay.
And also, another way also, samadhi and virya, concentration and effort must be balanced in a way that, for example, sometimes when one sits in meditation and then one is very focused and very concentrated, but then if we don't put effort to keep alertness and keep wisdom around, then we get like concentrated, and then when we fall asleep. So that's because the one is concentrated, so the mind not thinking about something, and then it falls. So we need to put effort to keep the mind alert and also keep wisdom around. So that's why samadhi and virya should be balanced. Or if there is too much energy and too much effort, I will do this, I will do that, and the mind is
anxiety
like this, and so the mind cannot concentrate and cannot calm down, and there is no stability. So these 2 must be balanced.
This, my dear friends, it's really beautiful to go deep on these 5 qualities. How can we balance in ourselves? How much do we have of each? And we know, for example, if we have only faith and no reason and wisdom, then we can be easily manipulated, and we believe, oh yeah. So a person or a society who is based on faith, as ours is Mexican society, it can be easily manipulated because it readily believes everything that is told. Now, if there is only wisdom and reason, there is a tendency to become cold and calculating, and will not give space for other human things. So it needs to be balanced, and none of them cancel each other. Mostly they complement each other, but the teacher says it's like the 2 wings of a same bird. Faith and wisdom should flap with the same force, otherwise they should grow together. So very, very beautiful. How much do we have of each? When are we here? When are we there? And what can we do to grow on them and balance. I think that's a very beautiful practice that we can contemplate individually.
Okay, so some other questions about last week? No? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into today's content. So we finished last week about the last group, and so today we talked about last week that since we saw the akusala chitta, unwholesome minds, and the wholesome minds, so let's see what are considered as unwholesome and wholesome actions. Those are the actions that when we do this kind of actions, then this kind of mind arise in the mind. Those with loba root, dosa root, greed rooted, hatred rooted, and delusion rooted, and also with the beautiful roots, which are generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. So today we will take a look at practically what kind of actions that the Buddha mentioned that bring us down.
Or
So-
bring us up.
Or bring us up. But first we will look at those that bring us down. Why? Because they are dangerous, as we saw already. So we have to know them, and then we have to spot them as quickly as possible when they arise in the mind, so that it doesn't happen like the little prince with the baobabs.
They take over the mind.
Take over the
The
mind.
defilements, the impurities of the mind take over. We need to take them soon.
Yes. Okay, so there are 10 cores of unwholesome actions that the Buddha described. Then 3 of them are physical actions, 4 of them are verbal actions, and 3 of them are mental. So these ones are actually not very new, so probably you will have heard about them already. So I will go through and not spending too much time, but if there is some question or something that you want to discuss, then we will stop in each point, okay? So now let's take a look at the 3 physical ones first. What is considered unwholesome actions, not good actions? Physical. The first one is called panatipata, which is killing living beings. Here, of course, living beings, human, animals, or any kind of living beings.
Here it comes.
Here it comes a living being. So any kinds of living beings killing, taking their life, it's considered as the first kind of unwholesome actions, anatipata. And the second one is adinadana, which is taking what is not being given. Well, not to mention stealing, that is of course, but
Blatant.
sometimes,
It's blatant,
Uh-huh.
blatantly.
yes, but sometimes someone might take something that is not being given. Like say for example this lady, maybe she has taken the blanket from the airplane, or when we passed by the market and let's try these peanuts or something. Those little small actions also are considered as taking what is not being given.
The antidote to that is asking. If the
Just-
thing is there, just ask. Can I
Yeah,
take
if you
some?
want to
Oh, yeah,
try.
of course you can take, but be sure that we are not taking something that was not offered. Then the precept is not broken.
So
We didn't plant a seed of action inspired by greed.
actually, considering all those unwholesome actions and wholesome actions, the Buddha specified it very clearly what kind of conditions or what has to be completed in order that it is considered killing, it is considered stealing. Let's say, for example, knowing that the property belongs to others or such other thing, or keeping this training of not killing or not harming other beings and not taking what is not being given. What kind of advantage will be there? Like also the Buddha explained, but I didn't put all the information because it will get a little bit longer, and we have so much other things that we need to see. So if you are interested later on, we can get into details.
Okay.
But now we yes.
Regarding killing,
Mhm.
is euthanasia considered a killing as well?
You mean mercy killing?
Yeah.
That
There-
so-called.
Apparently, there is no mercy
Yes.
killing.
It
So
is.
teachers are very, they warn the people to be very careful when taking a decision like that, because actually the good intention for the people not to suffer is one, but the unbearability of the suffering of someone, of seeing it dying naturally, it's dosa comes in, and we want to stop the suffering. And generally, the killing or the decision, the teacher says that generally is fueled by aversion to seeing suffering. then aversion does it and then pulls the plug.
But if the person asks, the one that is dying asks for it, like because he's in a lot of pain.
It's own aversion, no?
It's their own aversion, yeah.
No.
Generally, like in the past, now because we have this means of being safe, for example, when people is hooked to the machines or like this, but in the past people would just die normally. Will accept. Of course, we will try to ease the pain as much as possible, but generally, if a person wants to stop, it's because it has aversion to that pain, to the nature of pain. So teacher says it's very delicate to take a decision like that. Even when you see an animal suffering and people say, oh, let's bring it to sleep, or even a very nice wording is used, let's bring him to sleep. Actually, it's not bringing him to sleep, it's a killing. The actual is a killing. So people, the teachers warn that we must be very careful because generally there is some degree of aversion towards suffering. Be it our inability to bear the suffering of a being, of a family member, or a dog or an animal in front of it, we cannot bear it, or the person cannot bear it. So the inability to cope with the nature of life and the ability to be at ease with whatever is happening and presenting apparently plants a negative seed, which is very expensive. It's a killing.
The Buddha,
After you said
the Buddha explained the conditions of what is considered a killing. So let's see all the conditions. So in this case, you can judge by yourself if it is considered killing or not. So the first one is that a person knows that it is a being, a living being. There
must be a being that is alive.
That you know that it is a living being. That one knows that it is a living being. And then the other one is that there is the intention of killing, of intention
stopping
of whatever,
life.
Whatever you call it, mercy killing or sleeping or whatever one may call it. But there is the intention to perform this action of taking the life. And then
the
action is being done. The fourth one is because of this action, the being died.
Okay.
So if this four is being completed, it is considered a killing.
There are some blurry cases, like for example, if the person is kept alive by artificial means but has no chance at all to recover and he's just gonna die eventually, but you're keeping it alive. If you unplug it, it's also considered.
Teacher says be very careful before you plug, because later on
get into trouble.
Somebody will need to take. Sometimes this decision is taken by economic reasons, like it is unsustainable to keep the person. They see that it cannot be kept alive, that it has no alternatives or I mean no hope, and then because of sometimes so teacher says the plugging of a being. So people say, but we try our best. He said we should be very careful before plugging.
But sometimes you don't decide
yes.
the connection, and it's the doctors, and you say, please don't do that.
Yes.
That's my
then,
question. If you say just wait to the doctors, don't do any artificial things, just naturally. If the body can live, it's okay. If the body cannot live,
so whoever took decisions is on the game. Whoever took decisions. Doctors are a big responsibility because they often may take these decisions for the sake of the patient, but ethically, and karma knows no logic of these worldly things. Karma knows no logic of Medicare or the Instituto Mexicano de la Salud. It doesn't know. Karma is action. So karma is waiting, action, boom, and then it puts on the back that it belongs. So it is. I know it's very controversial, but it is. The teacher says be very careful with these movements because taking life, even from good intention, apparently, is taking life. So it's very.
But surely the degree of like a murder or a planned thing or things is very different. Although both are killing, but the degree and the intention is very different. So also that we have to consider that.
It might sound silly, but what about plagues?
Plague?
Plague on plants.
Pesticide. Pesticide. The plants are not beings.
No, but the little insects.
Little insects.
That's also killing.
It's a killing. It's a tiny
small
killing. It's a small killing.
Still killing.
It's
If we know that
It's
it
killing.
is
It's gonna kill
living,
the plant.
Yes.
yes.
So
No, the plant is not a being, but the little insects that
Yeah,
are
the
there.
insect is
will
gonna
die.
kill the plant, but if we kill the insect, then we take the
so you just leave it.
karma of killing.
Yes.
You gotta let it
Well, we
happen.
have to find ways, no? Sometimes people plant other types of plants around those plants that
There are
the
ways.
insects doesn't like it, like marigold or other things. So the insects doesn't come because they don't like the plants that is around. Or so we have to investigate as much as possible.
Permaculture.
Yeah, as much as possible, not killing. It's for our own good.
Yep.
So, yes.
It may also sound silly, but I have the problem with antibiotics.
Mhm.
You kill
Ah,
bad bacteria,
Bacteria are not
but
lives.
oh.
They have no consciousness.
I'm trying.
The Buddha described that whatever breathes is already
Just
already a being.
Breathing.
But there are many anaerobic beings, which are all bacteria and all that. Because one time one monk arrived with our teacher and said, "Teacher, I cannot wash my hands. I have a lot of animals in my hands." And he said, "Don't worry, this is anaerobic. Whatever doesn't breathe,
Oh,
there is no being. You're not killing nothing because it's only
the
unicellular.
breathing things.
The pana. That's why panatipata.
Pana.
Pana means anapana comes from breathing. Pana means
Oh.
breathing. So if you destroy the life of a being that breathes before its time, that's the instruction of
Before the time.
before timing.
Because
So
it would die anyway.
It would die
It
anyway.
is before his time.
Before his phone.
before his time,
intervention.
if you interrupt his life, that is called a killing. Because that's very beautiful. Because the Buddha already has the wisdom. Yes, everybody's gonna die. You're just doing it before its time. So it is really, really
Yes.
elegant. That
That-
part is
because
beautiful.
there
Very elegant.
Very
There
elegant.
was
Very elegant.
Así como-
there was a meditator, and she came to the teacher and then said, "Teacher, my washing powder said kill bacteria. It kills all bacteria. What to do? I cannot use this kill."
Bacteria do not breathe, so no
And
worry.
it says, "Oh no, bacteria is not a living being because
Consider living.
it's not considered living being because they arise because of conditions, not because of consciousness." So
Yes, we have plants, which are no beings. Plants
also
just
are not
react
beings.
to light and weather. If it
They
is
have
hot,
no
they
consciousness.
move. They have no consciousness.
No cheetah.
Then in between life and even in our development, evolutionary development, there were first plants, then became some unicellular beings which are not yet conscious because they also react. They have no eyes, they have no ears. They just react to heat and light the same way. So they are just moving around mostly to heat. So they are in between. They're not yet beings, and then living beings. When all the little insects, the smallest one, already have consciousness. The one who has consciousness is, and the one that is breathing in some different ways. For example, fish as well. They take all as well oxygen. They are having this carbon dioxide oxygen rolling on. So from there on, it's considered a being, a breathing thing that is alive
A
and with
fetus?
consciousness. Huh?
A fetus.
A fetus, yes.
Yes.
From the moment the fetus, from the moment that the egg enters, the sperm enters the egg, consciousness arises. At that
Okay.
moment, the very moment, and Luis sent us a video, we will bring it, that scientists discovered that the moment that the sperm enters the egg, there is a flashing of light. Scientists already saw it. I have it on the phone. Later I show you. The thing is like, the moment that they touch, and that's when the Buddha says that's the moment when the kalala, the little oil, starts separating, and then consciousness is already there. So forget it. No doubt that that's what. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt of killing.
Okay.
It's not breathing, but it's alive.
It's not breathing, but it's the consciousness is already there. He hasn't yet developed the lungs and things, but consciousness is consciousess and breathing. But of course, when it is alive, it's because
there's no even
you consider when you see a being, generally it is out breathing. When you kill it, well, also with fetus.
He's receiving oxygen through the mother, like
Yes.
like a fish,
Yes.
for example.
Yeah,
with
it is
different-
already rolling. But the most important part is consciousness already arose from previous life, from it's unbelievable, from an old decaying old or man or old lady it becomes another
Actually,
self.
it's the process going on, no? Like the last past life passed away, and that consciousness arises, that consciousness arises, passes away, and rebirth consciousness arises and passes away. That rebirth consciousness of this process, of this being, is in the womb in that moment.
Enter right. Boom.
And it stays there or move from outside the body and
No,
then
no, cannot.
No,
it
it
stays
cannot
there.
move.
Impossible.
Actually, nothing move or nothing stay because the conscious cheetahs are moment to moment. No? So this cheetah arises and passes away, another cheetah arises and passes away, another cheetah arises and passes away. So there is nothing that can, this fast is not enough that can go out and come in and do other things. So
There, all these notions that the consciousness leaves the body and that people see outside is technically impossible, because the only moment when a consciousness leaves a body is at the moment of death.
actually, it doesn't even leave the body; it just passes away
It just
there.
passes
And
away.
that's it.
So if a consciousness separates from the body that is sustaining us, that it's clinical death.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So no possible to move nowhere, or even with these experiences of going out is our teacher said is technically impossible. Matter and consciousness cannot separate. That the mind can access different neighborhoods that it is not used to
Yes,
go,
it's like
and it feels
expanded,
elated and
expanded.
spiritual experiences. It doesn't mean, but it's inside its consciousness. Only it is very rare for that being to access this kind of I don't know, experience or some.
You see, there in one moment there are billions of cheetah arises and passes away, arises and passes away. So there is no one thing that is
Permanent.
there, that is permanent, that is now I'm in this life, next one I with this same thing I pass to another life, with this same thing I pass to another life. There is nothing like that because the mind is like a river, no? So it's always flowing. The water is never the same. This cheetah arises, passes away. This cheetah arises and passes away, passes away. So there is no one permanent thing that moves from place to place. It's only just the process arising and passing.
It transfers away.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Excuse me, my
No,
dad.
No problem.
I would like to know, in this case, taking what is not given, the example of spying people, intrusion, getting into your information without your authority or your permission, is it considered taking what is not given?
The Buddha says that whatever, if the other person consider that information his or hers and is
Or
taken,
cherish it.
it's already.
Yes.
It's
not.
already.
It's the same.
Buddha was specific. There must be a thing that it belongs to someone. The person who is taking wish to take it and knows it belongs to someone, and then it takes the action and it manages to take it. Only when these four conditions, then you can irrefutable can say that stealing was done.
Okay.
The seed was
So then
planted.
it's any object or information in that case.
Yes. Anything.
Yes.
Even a
Then if it
flower in the
belongs to
garden of
anything.
someone,
Yep.
I
Yes.
take out a flower in the garden.
Yeah, but it's a small thing.
A small
We
thing,
go
yes.
again. If you steal something that is very big, then the consequences are bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah, if you take, but that's why the teacher said, anyway, be very careful. Just ask for it. Can I take this flower? Oh, no problem, take it. Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
Then
Clean,
you are free from
elegant,
free-
clean.
For example,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a question of the process, and there are the four conditions, but I could still plant a seed just by doing three, right?
No,
I think not a stealing one, but
Yes,
the wish to
yes,
steal.
yes, but that is not considered stealing because
Action.
action is not
It's
that,
all-
but it is like
It's still-
greed.
we are going now. You saw that there were physical negative actions, mental negative
Right.
actions, and
Right.
verbal. So
Right,
that would be
right.
only a mental.
Right.
Yes.
You plant a mental
Mhm.
stealing seed, but you didn't do it. So we are talking now about the actual action.
Yes.
in a similar scenario like the spying, for example, with software, that people grab software from the internet, like the piracy thing, you are not actually getting the object itself, and you're not taking away something from the owner of the thing. You're just kind of using it
Yes.
without
Their permission.
their permission.
Yes.
That's the same thing.
Yes.
Okay.
The thing now with information is that our lives are becoming digital. So
Yeah.
actually our new reality
Yes.
is in zeros and ones. Before we used to have the thing.
Objects.
Now our grandparents used to put their gold under the bed.
Yes.
But now we only have a number on the internet. So it is the same. The only thing it got
Abstract.
abstract.
Yeah.
Also,
It's the same.
also,
But it has the same value.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But-
Sort of.
what
Yeah,
let's say
yeah.
whatever it may be, if one check that because of this kind of action the other person get harmed, then that is an unwholesome action.
Because
That's
of
very
harm.
important. If because of this the other person
Yeah.
gets harmed,
Yes.
that's
The other
very
person
important.
suffer. Mostly it's a matter of suffering. You generate suffering on someone else having its well-being or life threatened or belongings threatened. Then that's already you are not respecting the others. So unwholesome action is taking place.
Yes. Okay. Should we go on? Well, there can be a lot of examples, but we cannot go through every single object in the world. So let's go ahead with it.
Maybe we have enough
We just
wisdom.
started. So the next one is kamesu michachara, meaning sexual misconduct. Obviously, not respecting one's own commitment or the commitment of other people is considered sexual misconduct. In this case, unwholesome action, and also any kind of abuse or whatever it may be with persons that are under protection. The Buddha said under protection of other people, of the parents, of the family, or of whoever guardian that is under protection. So.
We generally think for minors, but for example, a person with Down syndrome, as long as a being is under the care of someone else, it's without considering their age. Of course, minors is also considered. It is already a breakage of sexual misconduct because of desire. People abuse without their consent and generate suffering. That it has already also the Buddha was very explicit not to, like, if you were to have a ethical and moral judgment, studying the Abhidhamma, you can know directly when someone has wrong acted or not. You have the four conditions for it.
Yes. So we finished with the 3 physical. So next, let's go to the 4 verbals. Musawada means telling lies.
Wrong livelihood. They are wrong speech.
Wrong speech, verbal actions.
Verbal.
Obviously, telling lies it's considered as musawada, but also minimizing the truth or exaggerating the truth is also considered. It's also considered telling lies in this case. Say for example, I tell you everything, 90% of the truth, and 10% that is not good for me if I tell you, so I just keep that 10%, I didn't say it, so that's also considered. Meaning, or let's say that this morning I had a hamburger of this size, like, or I did had a hamburger that was not a lie, but it was not this size, so exaggeration also is considered as
Musawada.
wrong verbal actions. So that's the first one. And the second one is called pisuna wacha, slandering or divisive speech, meaning like you tell we hear someone something here, and then you go to another person, he said this and that, and then you hear something here, and then you go there and say this and that, and so with the intention of dividing people, or with the intention of making disharmony between friends.
In other words, chisme.
So this kind.
Malo, sí.
Yes.
Bueno, tampoco hay bueno. The Buddha said. Estoy echando chisme, pero del bueno, ¿eh?
Es como envidia de la buena.
No,
but that one maybe is coming, Maro. This one is, let's say, bad ones. Let's say this one is bad because the good one will come now. These bad ones is like kind of
dividing people.
Other people. Don't go with this person.
Don't go with this person. I saw him or her doing this. It's already wrong verbal action.
So this is the second one, and the third one is called farusa wacha, harsh speech, like using
Bad words.
or using words harsh, or the way that people talk very harsh with other people. Also, this is considered not good verbal actions.
Yeah, our culture has a very big depth, karmic depth, regarding bad words, because we consider them to be good or fashionable,
or funny,
or we are funny or something like this. So every word that is demeaning people, pushing them down, detrimenting their good qualities, or offending them, and especially with the energy that it is come, it is already a wrong planting negative that gives negative. So we can't complain about many things because culturally we have not come together and make a stand and say, stop this, it's not right to, if you want to love, sometimes, I told him with love, no, that there are words for loving, there are loving words for love, expressing love. You don't need to use denigrating content to, and doing it happily. Like you go to Veracruz or something like this, and people is really proud of being, how you say, mal hablados, like bad words and the song. So we need to be culturally very careful because a lot of negative seeds are being planted.
Yes, so harsh speech. And the next one maybe comes now with what Maru was saying. This is called vain talk, like talking about this kind of, let's say, chismes buenos that Maru was saying.
No, chismes que no son malos.
Que no son malos, digamos. So let's say talking about the which actors get married with which actor or whatever it may be, cars, football, or anything that doesn't have. Well, this one, vain talks, is considered. How is it considered? It is considered as talks that are not beneficial, that does not bring benefits to oneself or to others, that does not contribute to our development or our growth. So these kind of talks is called vain talks. So these ones are actually the most difficult to prevent, actually, because they day to day sometimes speak about this, speak about that, but that's also actually unwholesome.
We see no harm in talking vainly, like just wasting time, but the Buddha, the beauty behind this precept is that the Buddha says, you see, life is so short and life is so precious. For you to have born as a human being, it's an amazing thing, just by odds, just by the odds on the universe. For you to become a human being is so rare, so special, and you waste your life talking nonsense, something that doesn't construct you, and more than that, generally conversation, if we are not talking with ourselves, it happens with someone else or many people, like in this case. So if you're wasting your time, you also make the life of others wasted. So it is very dangerous because you are wasting precious life that could be used for loving, could be used for wisdom, could be used for many good things. So that's why this one is one of the one that is most difficult and most slippery. Now, if someone likes football or cars or something, there is no personal thing, no personal thing. We're just saying something that is not really making us better human beings. But, we just put general examples. No.
In Seattle, Virginia, when he was practicing as a lay person, before he became a monk, he used to work in the market, and before he's kind of a funny guy and always like joking and talking about different things. And when he started like very seriously keeping all the precepts, all the trainings, then he became very quiet. And then the people around him said, "What's wrong with you? like you're not funny anymore, or what?
Tell me a joke. Tell me a joke.
What happened?" And so he said that like if we really keep like the training very strictly about talking, one becomes very quiet. But he said, but at the same time, when he speaks, is very powerful. Because what he speaks is really beneficial and useful, and people really listen because they know now he's speaking because there is something important. So he said that it changed something.
That happened with his teacher, and then later on happened with him.
Okay, so that's about the 4 verbal, and now let's go to the 3 mental. Okay, now the first one is called avijja, covetousness, meaning that we're wanting or having desire of other people's property. Like we're thinking other people's things are better, then I wish I have what the thing that the other person have.
Envy.
Or
or
desiring other people's property. So let's say, for example, if I want a car, let's say, so that's greed only. But this avijja is like kind of I want his car. Yes. So especially something that is belong to someone else. So those kind of greed is called.
What can be a word in Spanish for covetousness?
Covetousness. How can we translate covetousness?
Anybody have Google Translate?
It can be like greed, codicia, or there is another one.
Desiring other people's property.
Codicia, envidia.
Actually, NVIDIA, envy is a different family.
It's a different mental factor.
With covetousness, we wish, we desire, we lust, we wish to get the other ones. This based on desire. And NVIDIA, envy comes from anger. We are angry that the other person has something better than us. So envy, I was also shocked the first time I heard the Buddha's explaining. Well, not the Buddha, but the Buddha's teaching. The envy.
The translator says codicia.
Codicia. You feel you want to get that thing. So that is before stealing as well. That can trigger stealing. So I was Guillermo very shocked when we heard for the first time that envy is from the family of anger. And we say, Tiago, why is it is on envy? Because we will generally relate it to desire. He said that we cannot stand that someone else has something better than me. That's why I want it. So it's coming from aversion. And this one, they are coupled. You first desire, and then you are angry. That if that lady, after looking that she has a better plant or the ice cream, then she wants it for it, and it's angry that the other person has it better, then that's envy. But now it's codicia, only covetousness. I want it.
Wanting other.
So the mind is already polluted. The mind, as we saw before, is already thinking about it. It has not yet taken the plant, didn't do it, but it's already like, that one is better than mine. So problems come.
Wanting other people's, or simply wanting more and more.
That's also in that one.
This one is avarice, no? Avarice. I have already, but I want more. It doesn't matter, whatever. Just give me more.
Yes. Okay, so this is the first type of mental unwholesome action.
And this is the biggest danger of desire. When it gets totally out of control, it does this. I want more, even if I have. So madness, desire starts to. It polluted the mind so much that the mind became crazy already. So it's not seeing what it has already a lot. And as sometimes it's said, it has a situation of rich with mentality of a poor. It continues to take. Then the biggest problems in our world throughout history has come from unhinged and uncontrolled desire because of covetousness. All wars, all kinds of brutalities mostly came from this. So this is the teacher says, be very careful when desires. We cannot belittle desire. Oh, I desire but just a little. He said, no, be very careful, because if that takes root, it can become a big tree, and when it becomes a big tree, it can even destroy. So
Destroy you and destroy others.
destroy everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. The next one, Vyavara, is ill will. So ill will, say for example, when we get angry and then we scream to the other or we hit the other, that's already verbal action and physical action, yes? So in this category, it is ill will in the mind. We think we wish harm for the other people. So when we were investigating some pictures online, and we find some ill will greeting cards. Ill will greeting cards.
Yes.
So you can take a look. Say for example, the birthday card. I am pleased you are 1 year closer to that. That's exactly ill will. Like thinking of wishing harm to wishing bad for other people. So there are a few more. So
There is a full collection online.
a full collection of.
Horribles, no?
Horribles.
I hope you never find a job.
I mean, it's between joking and something, but it
Yes,
is.
but
It is
this is ill will. Exactly. So I thought it was very good illustration for this. Wishing you a miserable Christmas. And another one, that I hope your baby ends up in prison.
Oh
my God.
Man, that's
Those-
bad
No
taste.
les valió buscar eso.
Very bad.
Huh?
So
No les
So
valió
those-
buscar esas cosas.
You just Google
yeah,
Google
just
things.
Google. When
You just
Google
put
then you
ill will, and then start popping things, and you wow, so many
Yes.
things come.
So it was just the perfect description of. But sometimes we do things. We say, oh, this is so terrible. This is horrible. But if we are honest enough, sometimes we do things like that inside ourselves. Yes or no?
Again, in Spanish, you will.
Mala intención. Mala
Ah,
intención.
So
Mala intención.
sometimes
O maldad.
when the mind is in this kind of
Dosa.
mind state with dosa, then it is possible we could all think about these kind of things. So in this case, this is unwholesome mental
You
action.
can see her mouth.
Claro.
The dosa is already in, and she's keeping the word. So, like the example we saw before, now she's only planting akusala mental seeds until she opens the mouth and verbal intimation, which we will see in future chapters. When the Buddha described that, it's a very big difference between when the mind is thinking about saying something and when it actually makes the effort to bring sound, vibrate the chords, move the hands, and express something to someone else. That is called verbal intimation. That being is already calling to connect with another consciousness. So that is very beautiful. We will arrive to that thing. It can be done in good or in bad. So you can see her, it is still there. So if the pressure is too much, then she will maybe say something with all that force and energy.
It could
Then it will
become hard
become,
speech.
yeah,
or
it could, maybe she's thinking bad words at that time, but she's not saying it. But she's planting all these mental negative seeds. But when she opens, and then we come to the other realm of mental plus action, physical intimation, and intimation from intimacy comes like connecting to someone else. And then sending all this negativity, giving it actually. So very interesting how we can check the mind and the world can react, how we interact with it, and what are we planting.
Okay, so that's the second mental. What came up very fast? Okay,
Should I stop?
no, it's okay. Mental unwholesome action, and the third one is wrong view. So wrong view, as we saw already previously, it's very broad. Yes. So the Buddha explained 10 kinds, 20 kinds, 62 kinds, and like that. So here we will take a look at the 10 kinds, and then we will take a look at the 3 most serious ones. Yes. So just briefly, we will see in Majjhima Nikaya and the Mahachattarisaka Sutta, the Buddha explained about the 10 kinds of wrong view. 10 kinds of wrong view are mentioned in this sutta. And what is the wrong view in the sutta? It says, so if people have this kind of idea, the common ones that we are going to look at now, that is wrong view. Yes. So the first one is there is no meaning in giving small or big offerings. There is no meaning in
Generosity has no value. That's
because
a
there
wrong
is
view.
no result will happen. So if those kind of ideas, consider wrong view. Another wrong view is there is no fruit or result of good and bad deeds. So if I do good, there won't be any good result. If I do bad, there will not be any bad result. So that kind of view also is considered wrong view.
In short, we are denying karma. If
Yes.
I do good or bad, nothing will happen.
No.
So that's a wrong view,
Wrong.
not understanding the law of cause and effect.
Then another one is there is no afterlife, meaning this is the only life. Like when death happens, then it's all finished. That's it. So that kind of idea. And then another idea is there is no result in good or bad deed done to one's mother and father. In the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha appreciate very much teachers, mother and father, because the Buddha taught us that he considered our mother and our father are the beings who has done a lot for us, who has done and they are considered as our first teachers because they taught us how to walk, how to eat, how to speak, everything as a parent. And the debt of a son or a daughter to the parents is almost irreturnable, because without the parents, like we would have probably died, because when we were small, whoever
We will have that certainly. without-
certainly, yeah, because if they didn't take care of us when we were small, then that's it. So mother and father in the Buddha's teaching are very special people, and if we do good or do service for our parents, then it is very good seeds that we are planting, even better seeds than if we help someone else. Yes, so
And just to finish the information, so it stays also in the video, the best thing that we can come close to repay that debt is to help them give us the next step in 3 areas, as we know. Morality and ethical behavior, stability of mind, and wisdom. If we are able to help our parents to become a little bit better in these 3 areas, the Buddha says that that's the only way that we can start repaying the debt that we have towards them.
yes, okay, so thinking that there is no result in doing good or bad deeds to one's parents. It's also one kind of wrong view. Another one is there are no beings are born spontaneously. This is like a funny, like kind of like what? Like this. So I will explain a little bit here. You know, the Buddha is really like a scientist, no? So he explained all kinds of beings, how beings are being born. Say, for example, human beings were born of womb, no? Like, so we are born in the womb of the mother.
With 9 months.
And the Buddha explained there are beings that are born from eggs, obviously, like chicken or snakes or fish. Yes, so
Tyrannosaurus
beings
Rex.
that is born in a born by a womb, eggs. There are beings that born in water, mosquitoes, you know, like they are born by water, and there are also beings that are born simultaneously. So those are spontaneously. Like devas, they don't born through a mother's womb, nor from water, nor from egg, but they born they appeared. Let's say. So this is the way how they born.
And Brahmas have no body, so they don't need to be incubated in any way, because the body is not doing anything. Just the mind arises, the consciousness, so it has no waiting time, no pregnancy.
So there are different kinds of way of how beings are being born. No? So these ones, like the view that there are no beings that are born spontaneously, that is not possible. Thinking that is not possible is also one kind of wrong view.
The universe is very big, very big.
Yes. So yeah. So that's one kind. And the next one is, and then there are no ascetics or recluse who is well attained and practiced, and who describe the afterlife after realizing it with their own insight. So here, meaning like thinking that it is not possible to have Buddhas or Arahants or people that have already arrived to a higher level of wisdom, and because of their wrong understanding, they understand that life is not just this, but then if we do good deed, then the good will come, bad will come, and then there are different kinds of lives with their own wisdom. They saw it, they know it, and then they explain to others. Yes. So in this way, thinking that it is not possible that these beings exist, that they have seen this and they teach other, is a kind of wrong view also. So in these 10 wrong views is how it was explained in this sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, and there are more other different explanations. There are different kinds of wrong view. Then later we can explore when we have time. But now here we will see the 3 kinds of wrong view that are most dangerous and most serious. The first one is called the view of uncausedness or randomness of existence and phenomena. What does that mean? That means that there is no cause or condition for defilements or purification of being, or whatever it may be, it's just random. Whatever happened is because of by chance or by fate. So no cause.
The notion, this is very culturally accepted and a little bit dangerous, because the notion of destiny is on this inside here. Like everything is destiny, it's my destiny. So that means I'm giving up responsibility. It's because of destiny. If I do good or bad, it doesn't matter.
Or by chance,
by lack, or who knows from whom gave the blessing or the curse for it to happen. So this is taking responsibility from our actions. Then a lot of suffering comes because we can't complain. We sow good seeds, we receive good. We sow bad seeds, we receive bad. So this is one of the most dangerous, because society, if we as society or humanity don't have this notion and responsibility of our own actions, then negativity can run rampant. Negativity can just spread because nothing happens and there is no cause for it. So it's like my destiny to be bad or good.
Yeah. So this kind of view in Pali is called Ahetuka Ditti. Hetu here means cause, no cause. Sometimes hetu means root, but here means cause or root. So Ahetuka Ditti, it means that everything is just random. By chance, there is no cause, no cause for it to happen. So this is one kind of the most dangerous ditti, wrong view. And the other one, the second one, is the view of the inefficacy of action. That means that there is no result. That means whatever good we do or whatever bad we do, and there is no result. So we can do something, but there will be no effect. So this is the other kind of idea. It's called kriya diti. So this kind is also a view which is quite dangerous.
Yeah, this one also very socially very dangerous.
Yes, later when we finish the three, we'll go there. And then there is also another kind of view. The third dangerous one, is the view of nihilism, meaning that that is the complete destruction. Then there is nothing after that. So enjoy and do whatever you wish. So this is naticality.
Solo por nueve.
Also online, we didn't do that thing. Google is. You only live once.
So this kind of idea also is very dangerous. So why did the Buddha explain about this kind of views? Is because in the time of the Buddha, 2,600 years ago in India, actually there are contemporary spiritual teachers that hold these kind of ideas. So that the Buddha explained.
And they were teaching them to many.
Yes.
So the Buddha said, whoa, 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 careful, careful, careful.
And so the Buddha explained that why this kind of idea is wrong view, is considered wrong view, and why is it harmful. Yes. So the three kinds, the most dangerous three kinds are this one, that thinking there is no cause, whatever happens is just random and by fate, by destiny. And then the another one is there is no effect. Whatever we do, good or bad, there will be no result. Then that's another idea. And another one is like you only live once. So there is nothing after life. There is nothing after life. And so you can do whatever you do. We just enjoy whatever you wish.
Very dangerous.
So these three, why are they so dangerous? Because when a person has this kind of idea that it is very easy, or they tend to have no respect for morality. Because if there is no result, I can do whatever I do, but nothing bad is going to happen to me, so it doesn't matter. Or they think that after I die, nothing happens anymore, so whatever I do now, I just enjoy now, and that's
Hay
it.
que darle gusto al gusto, la vida, esa.
Like this kind of idea. So if there is no respect or for morality, then what one does could be a lot of ahusala, which keeps planting and planting and planting bad seeds for himself, and also harming others without knowing it. So that's why the Buddha said this is very dangerous because of that. Because of this idea, then one keep doing unwholesome deeds, planting bad seeds which will give result to himself later on, and also harming others. So these three types of wrong view is the most dangerous.
Deep ignorance of how nature works. That's why the Buddha says that the best gift we can give to ourselves is to understand how nature works, understand the rules of the game, and then just abide on them, and happiness will be unavoidable. Happiness will be the normal thing.
Yes.
If you don't do the causes of suffering, which is harming yourself and harming others, then happiness will be your normal state, your natural result. So
That's
cause and effect, cause
for
and
me,
effect.
I think that in the Catholic religion, confession is so dangerous. Because people feel they can do whatever they do, and they just go on Sunday to church and confess, and I am clean again to start again with no effect, no...
Yeah, no one can take away. Even the most saint, even the Buddha could not take the bad actions of people. And he said, you planted already, now you need to do a lot of good.
Yeah.
So that one's had less chance to pop up.
Yes.
But no one can take nothing away.
Yes.
Karma is e-transferable, unerasable.
Yes, in any kind of religion since the time of the Buddha 2,600 years ago, that there are already people think that have this kind of idea. That's why the Buddha explained. Say, for example, in India also people think that if they take a bath in the Ganges River, also all their
sins
will be washed.
Wow,
so
very
it's
easy.
the same thing. It's the same thing. So, but that's dangerous because the nature does not work like that.
I jumped like 9 times and look, nothing happened. But still coming.
Okay, so until here, then we have seen the 10 course of the unwholesome actions, which regarding the physical actions, it's killing, taking what is not given, sexual misconduct, and 4 of them verbal, lying, slandering or divisive speech, harsh speech, and vain talk. And 3, mental, covetousness, wanting, desiring the property of the others, ill will, wishing harm to the others, and wrong view, many kinds, but especially the 3 kinds that we just saw now. Yes? Okay, so here we finished the 10 course of unwholesome action, and then we will go into a little bit more detail, but I think it's good time to take a break. So there are tea, and also there are watermelons, so please feel free, and we'll see you in 3 minutes.
See you in 3. Yes, you can take it freely.
Yes.
It's already
It's given. Okay.
Come on, how do we see it until now? Interesting, no? Very, very clear, very precise, very practical for life. Imagine if, as parents, we got this course before our baby born. Then our baby born, and then we have all the lineamientos. How would you say? All the guidelines to share with the young one and say, look, this is what it comes like this.
Hey, yay!
Yes, good. Imagine this is in our public education system.
Well, exactly.
That would be the basic. Our politicians.
With this mind, with discussion. Other story.
Okay, so welcome back, and let's continue with a little bit more, finishing the unwholesome actions. Okay, now these 10 kind of unwholesome actions. Let's do a little
Shuffle.
Here, killing, harsh speech, and ill will, 1 group. Sexual misconduct, covetousness, wrong view, 1 group. Taking what is not given, lying, slandering, and vain talk, another group. So remember that we have we said that there are 3 bad roots. Yes, loba, dosa, and moha. Yes. So hatred, desire, and ignorance. Yes. So let's take a look. Killing, harsh speech, and ill will. From what kind of root do you think this kind of action springs? Dosa. Yes, quite obviously. Yeah, because when we are like wishing harm for others, or saying bad thing, or killing, this obviously because of dosa root. Yes.
So this is mind, this is word, and this is action. You can see dosa has three modes of action. Whenever it arises, it can come through just thinking, and then it becomes harsh speech, and then the heaviest. The heaviest is when the 3 of them is happening. So you can see.
Yes.
Mama.
Yes. So of course, all the connected actions, not only just killing, but also harming others, or fighting, hitting, or whatever it might be. It's also comes from
Bullying is there also.
Bullying
comes from this root. Okay, so sexual misconduct, covetousness, and wrong view. What kind of root do you think it comes from? Yes, loba. Quite obviously, comes from loba, because we want. Yes, because of wanting.
Isn't it stealing too?
Okay, now it's coming. So, taking what is not given, lying, slandering, and vain talk, what roots do you think it comes from? Yes, actually, it can come off from both, depending on the situation.
Charana nos friqueó,
This is the Buddha's teaching. So, taking what is not given, let's say two different scenarios. The first one, because I want what he has, so I steal it. Yes, so that can be because of a greed root. But I can also steal something, and I don't want the thing, but I want him to suffer. So I take away his property, so he will suffer.
That is more horrible.
So that's from dosa.
Yes. I don't want your thing, but I want you to suffer.
Yes. So one can steal because of that. Yes. So that's why it can be sometimes, depending on the situation, can be because of greed, or can be because of hatred, or it will lying also. I can lie something, or a person can lie or say something because I want something. Yes, because I want to gain something, or because I want to harm the other person. Then the person can tell a lie, so it is also possible. Divisive speech, also slandering. Let's say, for example, this friend, I don't want him to be with another person because I want him very much, like greed. So in this case, it can be from greed, or I say things because I want to harm their relationship, or whatever it may be. So this is dosa in this case. So it could be loba, or it could be dosa. Vain talk also, it could be loba, or it could be dosa.
Generally,
in the same way.
Well,
Depends on situation, no? So it's not possible. And of course, as we see before, moha is always there. Because with dosa root, moha is also together, yes, always together. With greed also it is always together. So we didn't have to even mention about it because these roots, they always go together, yes? Okay, so now we finished with the 10 course of unwholesome action, and here there are something very interesting that I'd like to share with you. That we have so many kilesas, mental defilements, impurities that makes us suffer, no? Like these mental defilements, actually they are of 3 levels. So let's see what does that mean by 3 levels. The first one is called vitikama, which are mental defilements, mental unwholesome qualities manifested in actions, like we act it out. Yes, like let's say like killing or harming, or with verbal, no, with physical action or with verbal actions or stealing, whatever it may be, with action. When mental defilements are manifested with physical or verbal actions,
we do them.
We do it, we act it out. That is called vitikama. That's the first level of mental defilements. Now the next level is called pariyutana, meaning mental defilements that arise, they are arising only in the mind at the moment. It has not become an action. So we only think about, like let's say greed thoughts, like thinking about greedy thoughts, or ill will, or whatever defilements, or envy, or anything that but only in the mind we are thinking at that moment. It has not become an action yet, but it has already arisen in the mind. So this is the second level. It is called pariyutana, which are defilements that arise in the mind without acting out yet. Yes, without acting out, the second level. And the third level of defilement is called anuseya, latent, meaning that it is only a potential. Say for example, in this matchbox, there is no fire there yet. Yes, there is no fire, but when the match and the box strike together, then fire will come. So there is potentiality. Say for example, at this moment, a person, he is in kusala, he is happy, he has no mental defilement in his mind at the moment because he is in kusala, no? He is in wholesome thinking about loving kindness or whatever it may be, and he is not acting anything with defilement at the moment. But if something happens, if conditions arise, say for example, if someone come in and shout at him, then dosa can arise at that moment because he still has this potential for defilement to arise.
Angry.
Do you understand the 3 level? So this level is only potentiality, not happening at the moment. But we are not free from this potential. That means that if condition arise, we can defilement can arise at any moment if conditions come. And the second level is defilement already arose in the mind. We are already thinking mentally. We're already thinking with greed, with hatred, or whatever bad it may be. It's already in the mind. And the third level is already manifest as unwholesome physical or verbal action. Yes?
So you can see this part as this is the deepest one, the one we born with. When we talk about paticca samuppada and why sometimes we have said that why do human beings born is because of this one, because of the ignorance that is deeply rooted in us. We can still, even now we are very nice people right now, but if our enemy came, we could get angry right now, all of us, because we have this potentiality. And then the potentiality, we can see it. Imagine we flip these circles like this, and then we have this, the possibility to get angry is still in us. The possibility to desire is still in us. That's why it comes. Then if it were to say, if it was water, if that potentiality grows up, it comes to the mental. We are thinking about doing wrong or doing good as well. We also have the potentiality. We are thinking about doing wrong, and then the thinking became so condensed, so to say, or it got denser. Then it became the actual doing of the wrong. So we did not have the root. These are our roots, our bad roots, and then we think about it, and if the thought is not enough, then we act on it, and then the plant is totally seed in different levels. And now we will, Charana will discuss how to purify these ones, and it's very beautiful. So pay attention to whatever is coming. Many of the things that we have been discussing throughout the years or months or time that we have been studying together, many of the things will come together in actual practice in the next explanation.
Thank you, Bante. So here, just to clarify one more time, these ones actually they are dormant, no? Like they are potentiality only
To
at
do
the moment.
bad.
At the moment there is no defilement at the moment, but there are potentiality for any time it can arise. So in this level it's called anuseya. And pariyutana are those defilements, mental defilements, kilesas that already arose in the mind. And these ones are manifested already as actions. Yes, already as actions. So here also one point that to clarify, and it's important, anuseya, this word only refers to defilements, because you may say then good quality also. Yes, that it can be. We have potential for good quality, and then good quality can happen in the mind, and good quality we can act out also, but they have different names.
Yeah.
So anuseya is only referred to defilement. When it is good potentiality, they are called the good quality of the person. Yes. Okay. So they are not anuseya. So these 3 words only used for defilements. Yes.
The anuseya, we all have that potential as human beings, the same one, or it has to be with our previous lives and actions.
No,
and it's different for each one.
If a being is not enlightened, we all have.
Enlightened people
were
able to take the matchbox and throw it away. That's
coming.
an enlightened people. He was able
It's
to.
the
But,
same for everyone.
but we are going, the
It's
same
the
for
same for
everyone, but
everyone.
we all have our independent karma.
Yes.
It is based on whatever we lived in the past. Yeah.
Yes, some people, if in the previous lifetimes or this lifetime even, not talking about previous, just this lifetime, if they happen to be angry very often, then there are more tendency for anger to arise. So it is more possible for this specific person. Or another person, he can also get angry, but maybe not so easily as the other person because he has not practiced so much anger in his life, let's say. So, and same as greed and delusion, envy, or whatever tendency it may be. Then it depends on personal, but everybody has, whoever is not enlightened has potential to defilements to arise. Yes? Okay, so now, in the Buddha's teaching, many times we have heard about sila, morality, samadhi, mental stability, and panya, wisdom. Yes, all the time we hear sila, samadhi, panya, sila, samadhi, panya, sila, samadhi, panya. Yes, morality, mental stability, and wisdom. Yes, so when we talk about sila, what we are referring to is basically for a lay person who practice the Buddha's teaching is the 5 training precepts, the 5 training, which is respecting all kinds of living beings, opposite of killing, like respecting all kinds of lives, and opposite of taking not is being given and being generous, and respecting one's relation, the opposite of sexual misconduct, the one we just saw, and here we're using kind words. So the 4 kinds of verbal opposite of the 4 kinds of lies and exaggeration and divisive speech, harsh speech, and vain talk. Opposite of that, and also through cultivation, it's all opposite of intoxicating the mind by drugs or by alcohol to make the mind unclear. No, this is the cultivation. So these 5 trainings is usually what we call sila. Yes, morality.
Basic,
yes. Okay, so that's sila. And for samadhi and panya, mental stability and wisdom, usually it is cultivated through samatha and vipassana meditation, mental stability, for the cultivation of mental stability and wisdom through samatha and vipassana meditation. Samatha, concentration, focused, one-pointedness meditation, and vipassana, meditation, insight meditation, seeing nature as it is. Okay, so until here, we'll take a little stop, and I would like to ask you how you understand samatha meditation and how you understand vipassana meditation to see if we can. Okay, yeah, you already understood, so we continue the next part. Otherwise, we stay and explained a little bit. Who would like to share how you understand samatha meditation? Yes, Sophie?
No, samatha no.
Vipassana? Okay, Vipassana.
Okay, you be samatha?
Okay,
Go
then
samatha, then we go
Vipassana.
vipassana. Okay.
Concentrating in one object.
Mm-hmm.
Could be your breath, could be like a thought, or but just one object and stay there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep the mind onto one object that is present. It can be a physical sensation or an image or something, but the mind is focused onto one object. Yes.
So
Development
in
of
this
the muscle of the mind. Concentration, concentrating the mind.
yes. So somebody else want to add something about samatha meditation?
It has to be a virtual subject or
Concept.
concept.
Yes. Concept.
Virtual, use virtuous.
Virtuous.
Virtuous, yes. Noble,
Virtuous.
yeah. Or neutral. Neutral or virtuous.
And subject meaning
Object.
object.
You say, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, the object that the mind takes to concentrate should be either neutral or virtuous. Beautiful
Yes.
object, so the mind
Not
cultivates
focusing
onto
on
the
bad
good.
thing.
If you cultivate, you can do also concentration on the bad, but that is not considered
That's not considered.
meditation.
Yes.
Although we do a lot.
So, also another thing is samatha meditation. The purpose of samatha meditation is to focus and concentrate the mind. It's like a sharpening the knife. Yes, sharpening the knife. So for samatha meditation, what?
Very funny, you do. Do again. Very nice. I like this.
I'm like spreading butter on the bread.
Oh yeah. It's very elegant.
Okay. Well,
Very
so
nice.
the purpose of samatha meditation is for cultivation of mental stability. Yes. Okay. And so, Sophie, would you like to share about vipassana meditation? What do you understand?
What I understand is that you try to see reality as it is, try to see things as they are, and you can do this in almost any scenario. Washing dishes, you experience what washing dishes is, what the feeling of the water, the cleanliness, whatever is going on, you can do in any moment of life.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
To add, mostly Vipassana refers to understanding reality in its three main characteristics, which the first one is that everything is changing, anicca, nothing is permanent. The other one is it has the potentiality to generate suffering or unfulfillment, because we are inside the samsara. We experience happiness, we still must get old and die, and our loved ones. So it is still, we are not yet free from this cycle. And then anatta, which is non-self. There is nothing that doesn't change, something like a soul or something that is unchangeable and passing from moment to moment, but rather a process, a mental process that is changing. So whenever in the depths, when we are really practicing Vipassana, the teacher says, is when we are contemplating these three characteristics of nature. Everything is changing. We have not gone beyond suffering. There is still the possibility for suffering. It's dukkha, and there is no soul. There is nothing, no being, but a process changing. Conceptually, yes, I am me, you are you, and we have these qualities, but actually in nature, it's just at the physical level, atoms are rising and passing away, and in the consciousness, it's only elements of chittas, consciousness, units of consciousness are rising and passing away without any unchangeable entity that is there. So some of these ideas are revolutionary, especially the anatta one, and for our culture is a little bit like, what? But the more we open to the facts of nature, nature is just flowing, it becomes easier. Now, about samatha, yes, okay.
So we can do anything, for example, take a walk and experience the walk, the trees, the earth, through these three.
There is one very important point here, that when Bhante mentioned these three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, or unsatisfactoriness, and non-self, these three characters are not to be intellectually thinking upon. let's say when we are washing dishes, we are not thinking about this is an icha, this is an icha, this is an no, and not really at that moment like that, but observing, and through the observation, then this kind of understanding, but we keep the direction too. So this is what you said, the nature as it is.
As it is.
How
Same
it
these
is.
these three
Characteristics as it is. So when we observe, then this kind of understanding arises. We have to.
But at the same time, the first step to start moving the mind towards that direction is to think about it. Really? Is this really changing or not? Are we the same when we arrive and now?
Changing?
And we automatically say, no, now we are 2 hours older than when we arrived. So you start looking that, look, the body changes, the body moves. Does it has potentiality? Is something guiding it? Then you start directing the mind, but eventually, maybe what Charana is referring to is that these 3 things must be realized.
Yes.
And then when we realize these 3 things, we are already on the door of enlightenment. So it's not a small thing, it's a big thing. When we set up our minds to contemplate and understand reality as it really is happening without something unchangeable in the back of it, then it has so much power, this wisdom, that enlightenment the purification of the mind can just happen and be freed from the cycle of suffering.
Yes, it is important that when we observe, we just observe simply. With the direction, we understand that this is the direction that the mind needs to understand these things, but we cannot force the mind to understand or intellectually think that we understand, because there are also meditators that comes to teacher and say, oh teacher, I already understood impermanence, like because this is this and that, because like this, and then because this is unsatisfactory, because like this, and say, yes, perfect, like intellectually like understood already, but that does not mean that this kind of wisdom really
realized.
That he has realized that is already inside him. But if he keeps only generating intellectual idea about these characteristics, it can sometimes be obstacle for the meditation itself, because one is only thinking, is not really observing, and through understanding, through observing, this kind of understanding arises. So it's important also that we don't like overdo, like thinking.
We need to balance ourselves. So in short, to close, whatever we know in the West, whatever we knew before about meditation, I think we can say is on samatha. It is you sit down, you close your eyes, you take one object and come back to that object. That means you are making exercise with the mind to make it sharper, to make it more stable.
For what?
For then the one that the Buddha really thought this one existed before the Buddha born. In India, there was already samatha. The Hindus already practiced samatha meditation, and they knew the jhanas and all very heightened states of absorption of the mind and purity of the mind. But what the real contribution of the Buddha was vipassana. He said, you don't need to be sitting with the eyes closed and the hands with a specific mudra. You keep the mind and the body whichever way you wish, but then you cultivate, you understand reality as it is, and you cultivate the good qualities of the mind. That will really take you out of samsara. This one will only make your mind more powerful and temporarily suppress the defilements. But this one, and this is where we better don't say, because this is where we are going. This is the one that is coming and that has the ability to take the root and...
You already said it.
Pero no lo dice con usted, Chana. Ahorita you will say it much better. Go on.
Never mind. So another difference is samatha, as Cass was saying, that we focus on one object only and we ignore everything else. Only the breath and only the breath and nothing else, no? But vipassana, there can be many kinds of objects happening at the same time. Like, say for example, when you are washing dishes or when you are even walking meditation, then you are knowing many things, different things. So this one is focus, and this one is fish eye. Yes, it's a broad view, panorama. Yes, because for understanding to arise, one needs to see a lot of cause and conditions. We need to see many things in order for understanding to arise. We cannot, if we keep it only on one point and we don't know about other things, then we only know that thing. Yes, so that's the difference between these two kinds of meditations.
With the power of samatha, we see reality much more clear. So it will help. It doesn't mean that we should not. The Buddha says we must have a good mental diet. We must do both. And here in the jhanas is very important, because if the mind is really stable, it will be much easier for it to understand reality. So we cannot put down any of them. They are like two horses. Together they must go to achieve real liberation and wisdom.
And samatha, it cultivates a lot of mental stability because the mind is very calm and very focused. But it does not mean that vipassana, because of its broadness, openness, that it does not have concentration. That's also not possible. Yes, because vipassana, although the thing that the mind is knowing at the moment is different, but there is a stability of mind. That's also samadhi. So both cultivate samadhi, but this one cultivates samadhi and panya and wisdom. But samadhi not focused in one point, but the general stability of mind, as powerful as samadhi of samatha.
What I'm going to say is a little bit delicate because it's very controversial. But the fact is that by using samatha, eventually to get enlightened, the person needs to change to vipassana, then he understands reality and gets enlightened. Only through samatha, the person, only through concentration, the person cannot get enlightened. And this is very controversial because of the many branches of Buddhism. There's people who has much more love or even attachment to this or even attachment to this. So, but the fact is that through only this one, a person cannot get enlightened. Only when he uses this one and then change to vipassana, it can be samatha, vipassana, boom, enlightenment comes. And a person can get enlightened without having very strong concentration. If the ability and wisdom is very, very big,
jhana concentration, you mean?
The jhana concentration. And then, if the person has a lot of wisdom, he can get enlightened.
The samadhi of vipassana is also as strong
as the
samatha. So the knife is as sharp as it. But it did not develop jhana, like the super normal power, walking on water and reading others' mind and all this kind of power. Maybe it does not develop.
In our case, because of the teachers we have had, we have been misunderstood that we don't encourage this. My dear friends, if you can sit every day, please do so. We also do. But of course, we're just setting the importance of wisdom. We must have a good diet. Yes, I will say this one is the one that cracks the nut. So
our teacher, because of our teachers also, we are a little bit more of the style of our teachers, of course, because they are teachers. So by scripture and Abhidhamma and all the study, Seado Wukam Sechara, he is our teacher, and also Seado Ji Nandamala, also our teacher. And so what we are exploring about Abhidhamma, we learned from our teachers. And for meditation style, Seado Tejaniya is our teacher, so we are more to this style, which as our teacher, Seado, he focused a lot on daily practice, daily living, and any position, because he understands that for a person who is not a monk, let's say, not totally dedicated only for this, then it is not possible for the person to be sitting meditation every day, 6 hours or whatever, or all the time is not possible. So he said that, but cultivation is not only sitting, so we can do it anytime, whenever we can, wherever we are. So that's why he emphasized a lot that we have to practice all the time. Continuity is the most important. Like even if we can spend, let's say this is a perfect lay person that practice the Buddhist teaching, he sits 3 hours a day in meditation, then he find time, whatever, anytime he can. 3 hours, that's a lot for a person. But how about the time when he's working, when he's with the family, when he's if he don't do anything at that time, then he have like kind of 15 hours without practice. So our teachers say in this way the continuity is being cut and it's not good enough, and then we cannot progress a lot. So that's why he put a lot of emphasis on continuity. So anything, whatever we are doing, if you are sitting, fine, sit and observe. If you are not sitting, walking, cooking, whatever, fine, observe. So whatever it may be. And he also in retreats, also many yogis, many practitioners also sit long time in the retreats, but he said in daily life it's not possible, so we have to learn how to do it.
So please, if you can, my dear family, let's do together. Let's sit and then cultivate. These teachers emphasize a lot on sitting as well. So we also follow them. So anybody needs to find their own balance. And I have to say that in our lives, through practice, we change a lot. There are some moments that we feel better to sit. There are some moments that we feel better to explore. So it will change. I feel in the future Personally, I was a lot onto sitting, then I came to the world because I was not doing much in the world, and I'm starting to feel the need again back to go and sit. So even the same person, which each person is a process, we change and we must try and experiment from both sides. Yes?
There was an interview that Oprah did to Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yes.
And she asked very casually, do you meditate daily? And he answered, not only daily, but every moment. And I was like,
yes, that's very sad.
but every moment.
I have the impression that if you practice mostly samatha, will lead you to a selfishness, to be more self of yourself, and you concentrate in your individuality. But if you practice also mixed up with vipassana, then you go out and feel every moment of your life, not just in your inner world. Is that true, or I'm not exactly?
I would say vipassana is in and out, so it's not only going outside, because the understanding of must be, the wisdom must be cultivated by understanding nama and rupa, meaning mind and metta. Yes, so at this moment, in this situation, of course, I'm talking with someone, then the mind also understand the conversation. Otherwise, it's not possible to talk if we don't understand the conversation. But at the same time, the mind also must understand what the mind is thinking, how it is feeling, if there is anger inside, if there is a lobha inside, or if there is understanding inside. So understanding inside and understanding both sides must be both for vipassana. So yes, Dante?
But regarding samatha, it's not a rule that people will become selfish.
Yeah.
If there are bad qualities of the mind, yes. But if it is really practicing the meditation, you can experience great love and great detachment if the mind is really pure, because samatha has the ability to suppress the mental defilements temporarily. That's why it it can last for long periods, and the mind becomes very stable. It's not the rule. If there is negativity still, yes, it has a lot of potentiality for that, and we have been part of it, and we have seen it many times.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's not the rule. So
Yes.
we move to the
Yes. Okay. So now sila. We come back to the three levels of defilement. Actually, sila, by keeping the moralities, by keeping this
right actions,
this training, it prevents us from vitikama, which is acting the defilements that are being acted out as unwholesome actions. Because if we are keeping sila very nicely, then we are protected from doing unwholesome actions. So sila, in this level, it eliminates unwholesome actions that are manifested physically and verbally, vitikama. And samadhi, mental stability in this case, it eliminates the mental defilements that are arising in the mind in this level.
Because this is mental training. You are keeping the other one is action, then the action becomes pure. This is mental stability and mental training. Then the mental defilement, the second level, the other one is the grossest. This is the subtler. It becomes purified the mind.
Yes, and also at the time when we are practicing, when we are having sati all the time, like having mindfulness, then the mind is in kusala, no? Like it is in the good neighborhood of the mind. Then it is not thinking about greed, not thinking about anger at that moment. Or when we are practicing samatha meditation in this case, then the mind is being focused, and the mind is on the object. Of course, it's not thinking about greed or hatred or delusion or anything. So that's why in this case, the defilements that is arising in the mind is being eliminated by samatha in this case, yes, or samadhi, by mental stability. Samadhi cultivated through samatha and vipassana. Yes? Okay, now, the last part, panya, wisdom, developed through the vipassana meditation, eliminates the potentiality of any kind of defilements to arise, because it uproots all the possibility, or it cuts the root at the bottom. So if the root is being taken out, then a person cannot get angry anymore, because there is no more possibility, no more potential, no more roots, and cannot get desire anymore or greed anymore, because it is being uprooted, and ignorance in the same way. So it is only through wisdom cultivated by vipassana that anusaya, lantern defilements, are being eradicated totally.
Okay.
So here we see the depth, what we were saying at the beginning. Generally, in any Dhamma talk from the teachers, you hear Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Here we are now looking with the microscope. Why wisdom? Why always the emphasis that we are part of it? We generally say the most important is wisdom. The most important is wisdom. We saw Samatha takes this one, the mental defilement. But Vipassana takes this defilement, the one that fuels the mental, the one that fuels the verbal and the action. So this is the root, the most important one. Wisdom can take out forever. There is no root anymore. And then we can see clearly, Samatha does this one. That's why the differences come from, and it is embedded in the Buddha's teaching. And of course, the morality, the first thing that the Buddha teaches all the time to people who is coming to Buddhism is Sila. Behave well, don't lie, don't steal, don't kill. Why? Because first your actions, physical actions and words are becoming purified. Then you go to sitting, cultivating, meditating, and making the mind stable. Then you start dealing with the mental defilement, to eventually, when wisdom is enough, takes the whole thing. This one is the root of these two. So this is the real enemy, is the one that is quiet inside of us, the one that is invisible. That's why we have a challenge ahead of us. We need to go so deep as to catch these guys and take them out.
You see, as when all the defilements in the Buddha's teaching, the main point is to purify the mind from all kinds of mental defilements, yes? So to uproot all kinds of mental defilements in all the three levels. So that's why the Buddha's teaching is about Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, because this is exactly what eradicates in each level. Sila eradicates the level of acting out defilements. Samadhi, mental stability, eradicates those defilements that arises in the mind, and wisdom eradicates the latent potency. And when all the defilements are being uprooted from the mind, what happens? Enlightenment.
Only good qualities will stay.
Yes, so that's why that's the way.
¿Cómo ven? ¿Cómo se ve? Clear, isn't it? It's like
very clear thing.
I don't know how to call your expression. Everybody's like, unbelievable, isn't it? It is much deeper than what it seems. So that's why we ask for patience to all of us. We will listen this thousands of times, but the first time we will look at it in the surface. We just see waves on top. But then suddenly you look down, and then you just see the waves on the bottom moving. But then you look down, from the same very things we can go really deep, and it is talking about something really, really, really deep. So all the discussions that often arise about the difference of practices can be understood and explained from this way. But before having all this information, as we are coming to sit down here and knowing the three kinds of unwholesome actions, it is impossible to explain someone. So sometimes even how you say, as the conflict will come. No, but Samantha, this and that. Wait, but look at this, and it makes sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the Buddha went as to these depths, and may we continue. I think we will stop here. Eh?
Yes.
So question or comment. How are we? How do you see this? What do we bring home?
For me, it's super clear now, because I remember when I went to the first Goenka retreat, I saw that, and I was like, I didn't understand the big importance for morality, like all of the 5 steps. For me, it was difficult to think, I'm never gonna drink alcohol again. I mean, I was not alcoholic or anything, but when you go to Paris and stuff, and I was like, I don't understand. But then later on, I went again to another one, and then with this course, it's like super clear, because you really need everything to match in order to get to Panya.
Yes.
Because if you don't do the rest, you cannot get there. And if you do it, it's going to be easier.
Yes.
And
Yes. Without Sila, without a good behavior, it's not possible to have mental stability.
You have guilt, regret, instability. I hope they don't find out or something. So we owe nothing to no one, the mind naturally is at peace. What? I know nothing at the
So-
moment.
Yeah, then
And
it is
then
helpful for the practice when the mind is stable. So when we cultivate more mental stability, then wisdom is possible.
Yeah, and it's-
Even, the Buddha's teaching is always about Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Even in Wednesday class, Bante is explaining about the Noble Eightfold Path. It's also
this.
divided into Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. But
It is
now in
always
more
this.
details
This is
about
the
practice,
essence.
yes?
But
So
now we're
always
looking
go
why.
right.
Why
Why
is it
we
so
have to
important?
do this.
Yeah. And it's really nice to see it even in my mind.
Yes.
I mean, I go back and remember how was my mind back then and how is it now. And I notice it.
And we
I
can
really
foresee
thank
how it will become.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, what else do we bring? How do you see?
I first would like to have I have a problem. Wisdom is not knowledge,
No.
so I don't need knowledge to
No, we
reach
need
wisdom.
knowledge.
Oh,
There are
that's
three
very
kinds of
important.
wisdom.
Exactly, and also if I follow the same street, I mean, follow the path, then wisdom is mostly to reach my knowledge of myself,
Yes. Knowledge about
In-
oneself.
of
About
oneself.
nature.
About nature.
Nature, but related with my own latent feelings, desires,
Your own
lovas,
nature.
dosas, my own nature. I don't have to know physics and chemistry and whatever.
No,
No,
that
no,
we don't have.
That we don't.
It will help in some
we-
ways, but no.
But there's no self.
There is no. The,
There's
the
no
important
self.
thing is that when wisdom really arises, you will discover that there is no self and there is no mind and there is no I there. So you will come to realize there is nothing. It's like an onion. We see an onion, and then we peel one. We interest. We take one, and then okay, the onion, and then another one, and we find out that there was no onion in the first place. It was only many layers, but there was not only a natural process. Yes.
Here, be very careful because sometimes we might say that, oh, so at the end what we find is emptiness. But be careful. This emptiness does not mean that there is nothing.
Nothing.
Because mind and matter, in terms of chitta and cetasika, quality, mental factors and consciousness itself exist. Rupa, materiality, it exists. And this materiality also exists. What does not exist is the idea of self. Because this process continues to go on, the mind and body, it continues to go on and it really does exist. So empty, not empty that there is nothing. It's only empty of the idea of I think this mind and matter is me.
Or me.
That's the idea that does not exist.
Yes, we will see, and you can see in the videos, there is the Buddha explained the 3 degrees of wisdom. The first one, we listen to them, Sutta Maya Panya, what we're doing now. Then comes the Chinta Maya Panya when we think about it. Is this really? There are some moments here when we can see you because we are here. At some moments, most of you are like, really? When? How? So then the thinking is coming from inside. And then when we realize, boom, what we were talking with Sophie, when we really see it, it is Bhavana Maya Panya when it became totally understood by experience. So there are the 3 degrees and has nothing to do with knowledge. You can see it on the videos and it's very, very beautiful, the explanation of the 3 levels of wisdom.
Sometimes knowledge, this word is also used as an English translation for panya, wisdom or knowledge. So just don't mix the translation because English words and you can say it in many words. But the wisdom, panya, meaning the knowledge of reality, how
as
it is,
the
not
real,
not any kind of
real truth.
Daily knowledge, no?
Or
Like
data,
I might,
yeah.
or I may know about, or I know Chinese, but this is not going to be helpful for enlightenment. I think. So
If your
let's
teacher is
say-
Chinese, maybe.
maybe yes. So not that kind of knowledge, but knowledge of how reality really is.
Okay, so we close, no?
Yeah. Let's
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Today,
you very much.
Very nice, I think. I
Okay,
this,
so
this
next-
part of that is practical. I really enjoy.
So we have finished today the Akusala practically what are considered as unwholesome action. Next week we will see the good
We
actions.
finished?
Yes.
Totally?
Yes, totally.
Wow.
Good. Yeah.
Yo creo que nos faltaba.
No.
Muy bien.
That's it.
Muy bien.
We set our intentions, so every seed that came through today's information fall into good soil. We apologize for any way of expression, comment, joke, or physical or verbal work, we are responsible, we will continue to try, and let's remember that we are not the Dhamma, we are also students of it, and the Dhamma must stay beside. The messenger is not important, but the message. We will continue trying to put our best so this information come the best way, and may the Dhamma flourish in our hearts, in our lives. May we be able, with all this information, to put it into our daily living and with our family. And with that intention, we repeat, Dhamma punyam, Nibbana-sa, Pacayo, Hotu, Idhamma punyam, Nibbana-sa, Pacayo, Hotu, Idhamma punyam, Nibbana-sa, Pacayo, Hotu. With the same intention that these fruits of these seeds become useful and beneficial to many beings, our family, our friends, co-workers, people we know, people we don't know, especially those individuals who suffer more than us. We put this intention, and with that we repeat, Idano punyam, Sapa satanam, Pajima, Idano punyam, Sapa satanam, Pajima.